Dig that.
Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Fame. I got my man Brad Gilmore here with me, as always, and we got a very, very, very special guest here today with us, Trish Stratus. She's getting ready to go on the Bad Girls Tour, and it's going to kick off this weekend in San Antonio, Texas, at the Big Texas Comic-Con, going down Saturday and Sunday. I don't see the time here, but we'll make sure Trish let you know exactly what time she's going to be there. But at 2 o'clock, she's going to be taking questions. Big Q&A. I know you guys got a lot of questions for Trish Stratus, but before we even get there, we got Trish Stratus right here inside the Hall of Fame. Getting out champagne wishes and caviar dreams, man. How you doing, Trish?
I'm doing good. How are you, my fellow Hall of Famer? Best class ever.
Yeah, man.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, man. Hell of a class, man. Hell of a class. But talk to me. You getting ready to kick off this Bad Girl Tour. Talk to me about that. And what's going to be so bad about this tour?
The bad is here. So I put the bad in girl after that run I just did. I'm just, you know what, like, I love these autographs, as you know, right? We do these autograph sessions, and they're just like, when WWE, when they set them up, you really get maybe 5 minutes with them, right? And you just, hello, good to see you, and you kind of sign. When I do these autograph tours, like I get, or the signings rather, I get a chance to like get up close and personal, and it's just amazing, right? It's nice to like, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's the fans who make us who we are, make us or break us. And so to give back to them, be there, and then like, you have these moments where you could get their personal stories, like, oh, last time you were here, I remember seeing you live when I was 10. You hear story, you have moments where you can feel really old, But what I started noticing is, like, as I went, I had to put everything on hold with my autograph sessions when I was back, doing the regular road for a good chunk of time, 6 months, I guess. But like when I did a couple in between, the cool thing is seeing like this new generation that I have appealed to with this latest run. And I've seen like the dads like, oh my God, I grew up watching you. And they're like, and now my son's watching you, which is like so amazing to know you're affecting. I mean, yes, makes you feel old, but also amazing, right? That you're affecting these generations and they're watching together, and it's really cool. So yeah, we just set up this tour right off, coming out of the run and just basically hitting everything. And we're number of stops all over the place. And we got people suggesting, we added a couple more stops even too. And it's just nice to do that, get back and see the fans.
Go get this paper, baby. That's what it's all about. No, man, I love the autograph signings myself. Every time I do an autograph signing, it's always a moment. It's always a moment for those fans. And I don't care if the autograph signing is for 3 hours, 5 hours. I'll stand up. I'll stand up the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
I'll make sure I give that fan that ultimate experience, because when they leave, it's a memory that they're going to have for the rest of their life. And I always say it could be a good memory or a bad memory. They always say you never want to meet your heroes. Yeah. But I always say when they meet me, I want to make sure they have that moment that they're going to, it's going to live forever. So I understand totally as far as that go. As far as just coming off, this 6 month run, how's the body holding up?
Oh my God, so good. Like I still to this day, I'm like, okay, so the cage match was about a month ago. I was like, is it gonna kick in? Like, am I gonna be like, whoa, my back? Like it's a miracle, actually. Like after that cage match, I literally woke up the next day and totally bruised. Like that's a big, for sure, bruised. I mean, I don't know if I get my iron checked or what it is. But, emergency. Get your iron checked. Just a reminder for you, Brad. It's just like bruised for sure. Visually, I was a mess, but my back, like I was like back, limbs, bones, like every head, neck, everything felt great. Like I just couldn't believe it. Fell off a 15-foot drop at one point and just like fine, And I'm telling you, like I don't know if it's yoga, but I always say like it's like how are you keeping in shape? And it's like I do my yoga, I do my weights, but I mean keeping your body lubricated and like doing the sort of thing that yoga allows, it has been, I think, what has allowed me to perform at that level at this age.
I'm not big into yoga or anything like that, but I tell you what, I started stretching a whole lot lately, and it's a big difference, a huge difference, as far as just being able to get up and sit down, just little bitty things like that.
Yeah.
You feel a whole lot different. I go, wow, so every morning, that's what I've been doing. I've been getting up in the morning, stretching up. Of course, Brad and I, we drink this stuff called AG1. It's a green, which like a vitamin drink every morning. And for
Thanks.
me, staying healthy at this age is definitely important. But being in the ring, I can only imagine how my body would feel. You say you feel awesome coming after, that huge cage match, Payback 2023 with Becky Lynch. What a match! If this is the swan song, if it truly is the swan song, what a hell of a way to go out. How did you feel about getting in the ring and mixing up with Becky Lynch?
Well, gosh, I mean, Becky and I, like, it was something we wanted to do for a while. We had talked about it. Like, we interacted, I guess, back in, I would say maybe 2021, where there was a Canadian tour going on and they were stopping in Toronto and they asked me to host the events. And so Becky and I knew we'd be getting in the ring together and, doing some interactions. But I didn't, and it's funny because, there's just people you're like, oh, dream match, and people's like, and just by fans, right? They have these fantasy matches. I know like Sasha Banks, Trish Stratus is like a fantasy match since we had our interaction at the 2018 Royal Rumble, right? It's still on people's minds. And so when people say, who's your dream match? And I would always say like, gosh, I love to wrestle Natty, or, I'd throw but I honestly I just didn't really throw, I always admired Becky as an athlete and performer, but maybe didn't see the Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch thing. Or maybe naturally fans didn't. So it wasn't like in the, kind of top of mind. But then we interacted at these live events and it was just so good. And the fans were so into it. And then we started like a little Twitter war to the point where people were like, oh, this Twitter war is better than like the current storylines on TV right now. Like it grabbed people's attentions. They started talking about fantasy booking and we're like, okay, you know what, maybe this has to happen. And then Becky and I talked about possibly working. And the one thing I always said is like, look, I'd been back a number of times. I said, I'd really love to explore going back as a bad guy. I want to just like something new. And as you know, it's like, you go back, you get your face pop for sure. And that's a natural built-in reaction. But for me as a performer, it was just a way to challenge myself as a performer, just do something different. And then just as I like callbacks, man, I like going back to like the stuff I did in the past and kind of like if I could do that again, and just do it, approaching what I did in the past, but with a different mindset, a different skill set, like a different maturity, like a different, maturity as a performer even, so I kind of said that, but it just wasn't right. Becky was a heel at the time. And anyway, eventually everything kind of fell into place. And then we talked about coming back for WrestleMania. And it was just supposed to be like, let's do a WrestleMania match. There's the novelty Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch. Then it just got juicier and juicier. They talked about bringing in Amy. So when the turn happened, it was juicier versus it being just like, I didn't have necessarily a relationship with Becky, you know what I mean? So like it made it, and then it had a little run with us and then just made it bigger, and honestly, it was supposed to be like, one match here. That was fun. Let's go. But it just like kind of extending in a good way. Like it was something people were interested in for a long time. Yes, there was that phase where people were like, oh, is this thing over? You know how people get some people, they get like enough of this already, But to me, knowing that like it would finally culminate in that cage match, that was almost like the perfect way for it to culminate, and I really think what we had done at that point, storyline wise, it had to be that big and it had to be that sort of vicious and extreme for us to get to each other in that final chapter like that. Very happy with it.
I tell you, we had a cage match at Reality of Wrestling, two of my guys, and they went out, they totally just crapped the bed, right? And
Oh no.
no, and I told them, if you guys can't go out and do it like Trish and Becky, I don't want you guys around my company ever again.
Oh man, I can't. Sorry, I set that bar so high. What can we say?
You're the blame for that.
Sorry, guys.
But go ahead, Brad.
Well, I was going to ask about the cage match. When y'all found out you were going on first, were you like, oh, yes, we're going to be the first thing of the night? Or were you like, I wish we had that main event spot because we know we're going to go out there and kill it?
Honestly, first, like it's like something different. Like there's a different energy. Yes. People wanted it. You know that book, right? When you go out, it's like they're so excited. They're so hyped. And they were just ready for this match, right? So to give that, I don't want them to sit through 3 or 2 hours of other stuff and then get to us. Like I wanted it to be like, let's set the bar, let's go out them. And it just felt right. Like it felt like that was the main event, could have been in the beginning. Who's to say the main event's not the, the first match, right? So I just think it was perfect placement. I think at that point in our storyline and just where we're at with everything, it was great to set the tone for the rest of the show, prove what we had to do. And then like, I didn't have to worry about time restraints and things like that. I just wanted to go out. We had our full on match. I mean, there's moments, right, where you're like, I'm going to be like leaving the cage at some point. I'm not going to be doing the slow crawl. Like we are going to go forget, you know what I'm saying? Like we were just going to go full on all out. And that's what we did. And I think first match allowed us to do that.
Man, Becky is man, she's been doing some hell of a work over these last 3 months. I mean, and she's so good. I got a chance to watch her up close and personal down in NXT working with Tiffany Stratton, and to watch her, she's a real general. She's a real worker. As far as you being in the ring with her, how good would you rank her as far as being one of the best?
I mean, she's not better than me because I'm obviously the GOAT. Character flies in there sometimes. No, honestly, why I wanted to go back and with her. Look, I want to go back with someone that like it's a challenge for me to go back with like, can I perform at her level? It makes me better. It makes me have to go in there and not shit the bed, as we say, right? Like I had to go in. I know Becky Lynch is the top in the industry. I've watched her. And especially once we started that, like when we did that Twitter war and people were like, oh, I want to see this match. I watched her closer. I got to watch the way she worked. I like, and I was like, this is going to work. Like I knew her and I in there would have that energy and that chemistry. And then working with her up close and personal, like we connected long ago. And funny enough, we actually didn't speak. I mean, I barely spoke to her when I came back in 2018, these girls were all new for me, right? I just had heard of them and just meeting them for the first time. A lot of them, 2018, 2019, when we came back for Evolution and the Royal Rumble. And so we actually connected once she got pregnant. I just sent her like hey mama, good luck and whatever. Let me know if you have any questions, and we just like, that's when our relationship started. And it was like, someone even said, ironically, you did not connect in wrestling as like the top of this gen and top of that gen, but yet we connected on the mama level, personal level. So we were friends on that level for so long. And then it was neat to then come in, and have that trust between us and like knowing that we both strive for excellence. Like we don't settle for mediocrity. We go out, we want to be the best. We will do everything we can to make sure it's the best. And together, like we were real collaborative on everything we did, storylines and discussing and our promos and making sure that they were tight. And it just was great. Like we worked so nicely together. And, I started, I think it was just towards the end, I ended up doing like some live events. It was Canadian events. They're always like, let's get the Trish on there. Right. So, I did the live events and we were like, damn, this was so fun. Like if we had done more of that, like we thought in retrospect, we should have been doing the live events just because it's fun, right? Like it's fun to get in there and like, just find that chemistry and find that little, like, just because I mean, it's a trek, right? It's you're on the road and it's a lot and the weekly thing is a lot, but to get and have that little elements of fun, as the live events are just a little extra something where you can just have fun, experiment, just let loose a little bit, and not take things as serious or be like strict on timelines and things or time restrictions and stuff like that. So we connected really well. And then just getting in there, like as you said, watching her, she's a real ring general. We both just had like the same goal every time we went out. We just wanted to be like most memorable, most talked about, deliver our best. And it worked, we just, and we meshed really well out there. And yeah, loved every minute working with her, love her, admire everything about her and what she's done for the industry.
How did during the run, it was just a fun run to watch the ebbs and flows of where y'all were going with your characters. Where did it come into play to bring in Zoey Stark? How did that idea come about? Was that something that you and Becky thought about? Was that something the company came to and said, hey, we'd love to have her along for this story?
Hunter and I talked about it at one point. And just like, not necessarily Zoey, but it was like, I don't know, do we need a little, like something to maybe get you some muscle? Like maybe one of those, like we were talking about me being a bit of a chicken shit heel and like, what can I do? So, I mean, back in the day I had Tyson Tomko, and I hid behind him and, back in the day, it was funny because we think about it, like in the 2000s, right? There wasn't any females getting a guy as their heater, so to speak, right? So I was lucky to have him back in the day, and I thought, yeah, that worked, for me to have that and sort of like chicken shit behind her or whoever we chose. It could be guy, girl, whatever it was. And then they brought up Zoey, and I think she was just ready, from what they were, and Booker, you would know, but she was ready in NXT to like go to the next level, right? she had proven herself over there, and they brought her in, loved the idea. We were super excited about, the surprise element, because it was kind of like just another part of the story to be like, surprise, another kind of turn that you didn't expect. And for me, like, going back, it's a little selfish. Like, I do it for myself. I want to see it, challenge myself, etc. But I want to make sure I'm also giving back to the business. Like, what am I here for? It's not just for me to, like, make sure I leave my legacy more than I already have. It's really about. And so when I started to, and so working with Becky is one thing, but it's not like I'm not giving her the rub. You know what I mean? Like, she's Becky Lynch, right? We're definitely complementing each other. But when I got to work with Zoey, and then having that ability to, like, do the stuff, Booker, that we did on Tough Enough, right? Where how do I do this? Even when I left, I'm still, we don't like each other right now, but we're still in touch, and there's, I want to help her. I want to help her. Like, is this t-shirt okay? Now let's go with this, or this. No, don't put the jacket. When you come out, took the jacket off here. These little tiny details, which I feel like, that's one thing about my career, but always, like, for me, it's always the details, right? Like, you're not quite sure what stands out about that segment. It's always those little details that you don't think about, but they're in there, and that's why it stands out. And so I like to be able to parlay that to Zoey, and so for me, that was, like, really good, a real, like, not passing the torch, but it was a coming around moment where I could actually give back to the business and, like, see this amazing star and help mold her and help get her ready for the big time. And I think, we had a great relationship, and it was great for the storyline as well.
It's called a rub. That's what it's called. It's called a rub. Hey, let me get this plug in real quick. Trish Stratus is going to be in San Antonio, Texas, at the Big Texas Comic Con this weekend, guys. Saturday and Sunday, as well. It's going to be doing a big Q&A at 2 p.m. It's going to be going down at the where's that going down at?
Henry Gonzalez.
At the Henry B. Gonzalez.
There it is, Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. Yeah, you guys make sure you got to go out there and check it out. Speaking of, you worked, your generation, of course, and now you working with Becky Lynch, and that's totally another generation, 10 years prior. From that, we're looking at the Trish Stratus era. I'm sorry, Tiffany Stratus era. What do you think about? When I see you guys, I see, like, almost like a mirror image in a certain way, because you was that. When I watch you coming up, Trish, you was always the girl next door, but you was the supermodel, and you was the girl that could beat all the other girls up at the same time. Yeah. And when I see Tiffany, I see a lot of those same qualities, and I was wondering what you thought about Tiffany Stratton.
Well, I see the same sort of things that you're talking about. I mean, it's definitely like, and she said this, right? Like, I know I had to prove myself, because people expect a certain something out of someone who looks the same way. And that's just what it is, and I wouldn't really say Tiffany and I are really the girl next door type, more like a little bombshelly, but whatever.
No, but you could be the girl next door.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
personality wise. Yeah, for sure. But, we have this, like, and so there's a lot of prejudgment, and there's a lot of preconceived notions about what that person or personality can deliver. And so for me, I thrived on knocking down those preconceived notions. That was that's what drove me, was be like, you think I can do this, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to prove myself. But I knew I had to prove myself. Even to the boys, when I first came in, I had to prove myself to the boys. And I know that Tiffany's had that similar journey, just because of the way she looks, you know what I mean? And so, and because of her lack of background, just like I had. I didn't come from a traditional background. I didn't have the traditional upbringing. So we were both sort of in that same predicament. But yet having those chances and taking those, and like she did with her Extreme Rules match, taking those opportunities and seizing them, and knowing, like, this will then solidify, shut those people up and solidify your, each step along the way in building your legacy. So love what she's doing. I don't know. I've tackled the 10-year generational gap. So maybe how old is she? I got
yeah.
Trishy time, Tippy time.
Any thoughts on a match like that ever coming to fruition?
Oh man, I don't know. Let me check my schedule. I have this Bad Girls tour happening. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm available at certain times. This is my thing. I was always going back. Like, it's always about, and every time I've been back, right? It's about will I have fun? Will it be entertaining for the fans? Is it different for the fans? Will I do something that will help the business? Those are like the sort of the boxes I need to check. So who knows? I mean, I always leave everything open. And of course, the last box is, will I be able to perform at my optimal level? If I'm not, if I'm shittier than I was before, I'm not coming,
How do you know that? How do you know that?
Oh, you don't. You actually don't. You hope, so when I accepted the WrestleMania, that box is there, but I haven't checked it yet. I'm like, let's do WrestleMania and then we'll see. And by the way, seeing like Shane McMahon tear his quads, I'm like, oh, how old?
Yeah.
These are things you think of. You're like, oh my God, I'm going back when and even the Rocky, whatever, the bicep, when I think Edge tore his elbow or something, whatever it was, and I'm like, oh, these are all elderly.
Look here, I tore my tricep. Just pointing.
Oh God. Jesus. Well, that's the thing, right? So I was like, okay, let's not get hurt. But it was a true concern that you had to have. Like, I could do, because I have I have a trademark point that could be detrimental.
The point. Yeah, that's right.
My run. I'd be like, oh, too bad. I came out with such gusto. I'm like, oh, shoulder. But that was a box that I had to only check afterwards. And by the way, I went into WrestleMania that year,
oh my God.
2 years ago. It was only in April, right? So going into WrestleMania, I didn't know. We'll have to, because I didn't have a match yet at that point. We had just a little bit of interaction, some run-ins, and you do your best of spots, and it's fine. But until I went out there, and by the way, I had a partially torn hamstring just before during my training I had got. So I was like, ooh, which is like, I remember just going out there going, so let's just go, and hopefully this doesn't tear off the bone, and let's just go for it. And everything fell into place and worked out. And I was like, okay, I can go like I used to go, and I just wanted to make sure I was always delivering. I don't want to deliver 60. I don't want to go out there. I'm not going to bring you 60% of Trish. If I can bring you 100%, let's go,
And, and people can see, obviously, Trish Stratus at the Bad Girl Tour, trishstratus.com/badgirltour. But, you're talking about staying in shape. And Booker and I were saying we're taking some supplements, but you just signed a new deal with Stacker too. Yeah. You're going to be representing their Chew Gummies. Can you talk a little bit about how that came about?
Oh, it's so cool because as people remember, so what I loved doing when I came back, I was like, it was like, if you know kind of a thing where I would do these callbacks, like everything from the mask to like a certain move to like a motion to like a phrase, like a callback to one of my, catchphrases. People were like, the people that are into it, right? They were like, oh, I love when she did that. So it's kind of funny how the Stacker 2 is a bit of that again. It's sort of like a callback to like, I was in their ads with the soprano guy, Polly Walnut. Is that his name? Polly Walnut? Was it Walnuts with an S? I don't know. Anyway. And that was like 2003. It's literally 20 years ago. Right. So to go back to that relationship was really cool. And knowing that my roots is fitness, right? I started as a fitness model, and it's obviously been the continuous theme throughout my life and my career. So to go back to that and just dabble back in that space, in the supplement space, is really great because I talk about stuff that I do, right? Like the little extra things I do, like it's a energy gummy, and it's like got the B12 vitamins to help you, to make you at your optimal immunity. And I that's the kind of thing I need, right? So I talk about like people, how do you do it? I mean, I wear many hats, right? I do my momming, I do the Trish Stratus of it all, whether it's my business side of things or the WWE side of things. And yeah, I need a little something unique, but it's in order, you have to be fueled properly in order to do these things, and to achieve all the greatness that you want to achieve, you need to be fueled properly, or else you just can't do it. Don't got enough in the tank, So yeah, so it was nice to hear from them. They told me like when we knew we wanted to relaunch this, we just went back to like a great relationship we had in the past. That was what they said to me. And I was like, oh, I love that. So it's like with a trusted partner, they've been a trusted leader in the supplement field as well. So, and yeah, it's a little chew gummy that's easy to take. It's just convenient and on the go. And I highly recommend it. I'll send some over for you guys.
Oh yeah.
We're all about
Stacker too.
We're all about the chewables.
Yeah.
Well, inside the Hall of Fame.
I mean, I like that chewable.
Yes.
The gummy chewable.
And I have one other thing I'd love to run by Trish real quick though, because again, in this run, people were calling you the GOAT. You were calling yourself the GOAT.
The GOAT.
Well, no, but that's what I wanted to bring up though. I think that you solidified in my mind as the greatest, female athlete to ever do it in professional wrestling in its entirety. But I also think that you, along with a few other women who have reached kind of that level, should be talked about more in just the greatest of all time conversation, men and women. Do you feel that same way? And do you feel that perhaps Trish Stratus, when you look at it, is in that greatest of all time conversation, men or women?
I mean, I'm not going to say I am, but I mean, there has been conversations. When I heard the cage match, like people talking about the cage match after, I really loved seeing not just this one, this is a good girls cage match. Like I didn't see that. It was like, this could be the contender for one of the best cage matches I've seen, or one of the better storytelling I've seen in a cage, and things like that. So I've always sort of strived for that, to not be separated by a woman or by our gender, and even back in the day, like I was just a big advocate for, like, when they were giving us the divas moniker, and I was like, it didn't match us. That diva had a different connotation, I think. But I just made a point of like, nope, we are WWE if they're WWE superstars, we're all doing the same job. We're all delivering the same thing. We're on the same schedule, and that's what we're doing. So I didn't like that they were separating us back then. And then everything I do now is like, and I don't want to be like the women's segment on the show or the women's match on the show. I want to be like that match on the show, period. So, I mean, if you want, if you want to put me in the non-gender specific goat category, cool.
Now, see that was a great answer. That was a great answer. I mean, for all you young aspiring superstars out there, know exactly how to answer the question, because when you great, you don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to say it. They know it. It just comes along with the territory. It's like chicks in championships. They go together. Trish, she knows all about that.
I didn't write my name as goat when in the studio, like when you write. I didn't write it as goat. Yes, I did.
Hey man, I was going down this weekend in San Antonio, Texas.
I know, right?
Big Texas Comic Con at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. Hey, what time are you going to be out there? What time you start?
So usually the convention opens at 10. So everyone should understand you have to, and you can go to my website, you can get your tickets there, you get the information about my schedule and everything. And I'll be posting on social as well. But 10 o'clock, the show starts. There's always massive lineup. So get in the show. The celebrities are kind of there throughout the day, right? So I'll go there. I might pop off and do some press, but I'm pretty much there throughout the day. And there's things you go for photo ops at a certain time, but that schedule is all on my website. So I will be there for the whole day, Saturday as well as Sunday. And you mentioned the panel, which is on the Sunday. Sunday at 2 p.m. is the panel. So you plan your day accordingly. If you got some burning questions, I only take good questions, of course. And yeah, that'll be on Sunday. So I'm excited. And it's great. And it was like, we've been talking about doing, coming on your show again. And it just worked out with like me being in Texas and, kind of all working out. I'm glad we got to do this.
We always appreciate you. It's going down Big Texas Comic Con. Don't miss out. Don't get shut out. Trish Stratus is going to be there. And guess what? Everybody is going to be stratified at the end of the day. Now, can you dig that? Hey, Trish, appreciate you for stepping inside the Hall of Fame, girl.
Thank you, guys.